Welcome back, and today we're talking about Moriarty the Patriot episode 5. So like always, let's just jump into it. Episode 5 of Moriarty the Patriot starts off with a mysterious lady dancing in a stormy night, and she ends up falling off the bridge. Now, when she was falling, she was smiling, she seemed happy. We later come to find out that was definitely not the case. Now, before we jump into the rest of the episode, let me remind you to like and subscribe. It helps the channel out. But let's talk about Moriarty the Patriot. That's what we're here for. The rest of the episode is kind of like an investigation episode. We see Moriarty, he's teaching his class, math class. And I always ask this question whenever I see a blackboard and somebody's writing math or equations on there. Was the equation on Moriarty's blackboard a legit math equation, or was it something just made up for the sake of the math? I don't know. My math skills are not that strong, but maybe it was a legit equation. I feel like that would be the right thing to do. Let me know in the comments if you know. But Moriarty is seeking his student Lucien because he's been missing for about 3 days now. He's been skipping class. So Moriarty starts looking into it. We later come to find out that he hasn't been in his room for about 3 days. Right? Moriarty looked into Lucien's history. He's been part of the noble family for about 200 years. Like his whole generation has always been a noble for about 200 years. So it's a big deal, right? A noble goes missing and nobody is like looking for him. That definitely raises some red flags. And of course, Moriarty was able to detect this. So he's going to take it upon himself to look for Lucien. Now, his roommate tells us about Frida. She's the character that jumped off the bridge. Frida and Lucien were in love. So, of course, Moriarty is going to look into it. And that's when Bradley, which already should tell you this dude, he's kind of suspicious. Bradley tries to put a stop to it. Bradley doesn't want Moriarty to keep digging into Lucien's disappearance. And my initial thought was that Bradley was working with the nobles and that maybe, Lucien was the one that killed Frida. Maybe that was the case and he's trying to hide that murder. So, because he's a noble, right? I feel like Bradley was like somebody that would work with the nobles to hide anything that the families did not want people to find out about. We later come to find out that's not the case. But yeah, Moriarty, of course, he's not going to stop investigating just because Bradley told him to. He goes to speak with the bar owner where Frida used to work. And that's when she tells Moriarty everything about Frida and Lucien. They were in love. They were about to get married. And this is the one that kind of, shocked me a little bit. Frida was pregnant with Lucien's kid. So that's very sad because not only did we lose Frida at the beginning of the episode, we also lost the kid that was in her. I mean, I hate when stuff like that happens, especially just because the whole reason for this is because Lucien and Frida were in love. And I'm guessing, the nobles don't want their kids, being married with a commoner. That just doesn't happen. Not in this world. We see that's why Moriarty is trying to change the world, because everybody should be allowed to be with anybody that they want to be, right? What's the problem with Frida and Lucien being together? What's the problem behind that relationship? Just because Frida is not considered a noble, that's a no-no? Heck no. Lucien and Frida should have been able to get married. The family should not have gotten involved in this. And Bradley should not have gotten involved with this, right? Those are two adults trying to make their decision. Nobody should get in between that. And Bradley kind of took it upon himself to get in between it. He wanted to blackmail the family. One, because Lucien wanted to marry Frida. She's a commoner, so that was a big no-no. And on top of that, she was being pregnant. So, of course, Bradley came in. He got Lucien high on opium, so he wouldn't, he would just disappear for those days. But he's also the one that gave opium to Frida. That's why she was out on the bridge dancing and fell off, and she seemed happy because her mind was not in the right place, right? Her mind was not making the right decisions. And it just sucks because she was pregnant and Bradley had zero care for the life of the baby and Frida. That's why he's evil and he had to go. Of course, once Moriarty finds all of this out, he seeks the help of some fellow comrades. One of them was named Moran and the other one was Fred. Now, these two characters, first impressions, I liked him. Moran, he's kind of, he looks very cool. He seems to be like the guy that can fight, the guy that does the violence for Moriarty. Because I don't know if Moriarty can fight or not. We really never seen him in action. I'm going to go ahead and say that maybe, yes, Moriarty can fight. But Moran is the one that kind of goes in and he's the brute force. He's the one that handles the guns. He's the one that was playing poker. And, he beat that guy up really. Well, he didn't beat him up, but he took him down fairly easy. And he's also a womanizer. He can get any woman, even though there was some money exchange on that. But it is legal. Bradley runs a lot of brothels. This is one of them. And yeah, I like Moran as a character. And Fred seems to be like the one that does the investigation. He was able to locate Lucien. He was able to locate the whole hospital front for the brothels. So Bradley can get opium inside of it without running into the problems with the law. But yeah, great new introduction of two characters. Hopefully we go deeper into their past and how they got involved with Moriarty. I always like to see those type of relationships and how they started, right? What would cause Moran and Fred to work with Moriarty? They obviously have to have their own reasons. Maybe they believe in the same ideology that Moriarty does, or maybe Moriarty convinced them to believe in his ideology. Again, Moriarty is on a whole different scale when it comes to how smart and his IQ level. So I wouldn't put it past him to be able to convince these two characters to join him in his little mission to bring justice to all the evil nobles that are committing crimes like Bradley is doing. Even though Bradley, I don't think he was a noble. Maybe he was, I don't know. But he was blackmailing other nobles. He is a criminal and he definitely deserved to die. Now, my only problem with this episode was how they took care of Bradley. I did not like the fact that Moran was in a window shooting from his gun. Yeah, we know he has some military background, but it just didn't seem believable to me, right? That he was just shooting at Bradley. He was shooting at his feet, making Bradley dance all the way until he fell off the same bridge that Frida fell off of. It didn't seem realistic, and honestly, from the first 4 episodes, every time Moriarty dealt with a noble or a criminal, and it came up to the plan was to murder them. It always made sense. The plan always made sense, and I feel like this one just didn't make any sense. Like shooting somebody's feet until they fell off the bridge doesn't make any sense to me. I feel like Bradley would have just kept running past the bridge until he made it to safety, or until he actually got shot. But it's whatever. I will say this episode was the weakest one for me. I really didn't like Bradley as a character because I guess we didn't see him do those crimes, right? Like, yeah, he was behind the scenes in the shadows doing them. But since we didn't get to actually see him commit all those different bad crimes, giving Frida the opium and stuff like that, I just didn't connect with him as a villain. Moriarty, he's still awesome. I like that 2 new characters. Can't wait to get more of them. Overall, okay episode. Could have been better. I will say it's the weakest one out of the other 4 for me. But let me know what you thought of this episode in the comments down below. And like always, leave a like, subscribe, and I will see you on the next episode.